why does this look so weird? And why does this look weird? Why does this look weird? And why does this painting look so real? Let's talk about perspective, how it saved art, and how it kind of ruined it. I'm Professor Lees, not really a professor, and this is Art 101, not really a class. We're here to go on a deep dive of an idea, an artwork, or a story from the art world that's controversial, inexplicable, or just plain weird. Today we're talking about linear perspective. What is it, how did it get here, and why should we care, even if we don't think we do? And we'll see how linear perspective changed art, and also became a trap. What is linear perspective? Basically, it's a set of lines that trick your eye into thinking that something that's two-dimensional is actually three-dimensional, like a painting of a road extending endlessly into the distance. That distance isn't real, kid. It's pretty fake. It's still on a flat piece of canvas. It's actually not even a road, though that's a larger story. But linear perspective allows you to stare deep into the distance of that painting that isn't really a distance at all. Before the invention of linear perspective, paintings looked a bit strange. If you wanted somebody to look like they were behind someone else, you sort of painted them on top of somebody else. We had a sense that things that were further away looked smaller and things closer to you looked bigger, but with no real sense of how to go about doing that in an organized way. But we tried. We really, really tried. In the 15th century, an artist and architect named Filippo Brunelleschi came up with a viable system for rendering a three-dimensional object on a two-dimensional surface. The story is that from about 1415 to 1420, he started experimenting with a system of orthogonal lines converging on a vanishing point that allowed him to draw a building that looked exactly as it did in real life. And linear perspective was born. A ton of artists began to use it, sometimes to a startling degree of precision. It's what makes Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper work so well. In this one, the vanishing point is just above Christ's head. Linear perspective organizes the painting, makes it seem like it's happening in a real space, and also directs your eye to the most important part of the scene. This Trinity by Masaccio employs linear perspective so exactly that you could use the painting to plot out a chapel in real space, with all of the characters in the right spots. And Perugino's delivery of the keys makes you feel like you're looking into a very deep piazza in the middle of an Italian town, with buildings in the background you could walk to or build. A lot of people got in on this linear perspective game. It became part of the language of painting. Artists were able to make their works look like things from real life set in real spaces. Perspective is maybe also one of the reasons your uncle is enthralled by a painting of dogs playing poker. It looks so real. I should point out that linear perspective was a tool of the West, and not the only way that artists made sense of space. Painters in Northern Europe used things like atmospheric perspective, or multiple vanishing points. Chinese painters used flat perspective. Europe is not the center of the world. It's just one example of how artists dealt with painting real life. So artists had a perspectival system now, and that seems like it should be the end of the story. We made it! But that isn't quite how it worked out. What if there was a machine that could make every image have perfect perspective? Enter the camera. After about the 1820s, this mechanism could do the job of capturing real life in 2D, so in its own weird way, the camera became the competition that artists just couldn't beat. Painters like Picasso, Matisse, and Mondrian began challenging Brunelleschi's system and making paintings that were defiantly unphotographic. They didn't try to fool your eye into thinking a painting was a window you could see the world through. But perspective lived on, even after artists dismantled it. It has authority. It speaks of painting's formal history. And you'll still see it used in paintings of prime ministers and presidents, in altarpieces at churches, and murals at City Hall. Perspective is a tool of tradition. In contemporary art, artists make choices. Sometimes they use it, and often they don't. Perspective is still a big part of the reason your uncle is able to stare lovingly into a painting of dogs playing poker and forward you said painting in a group email that includes other people whose email addresses you don't recognize, with a note that says, "This is amazing!" We rely on that kind of thing for sanity, preserving familial relationships, and keeping an artistic tradition alive that began in the 15th century. See you next time on Art 101.